Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm one of the hosts, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is running a little behind. He should be joining shortly. This is the show we talk about Boston sports to get you all caught up to speed on the local teams, the Bruins, the Patriots, the Red Sox, and the Celtics. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right in. And as usual, bear with me while I post the link so you guys can join the show. We have exciting playoffs to talk about with the Bruins and the Celtics. And we're going to talk about the Bruins first. Typical game one, typical Bruins. They had a big lead and they couldn't hold on to it. And I'm very annoyed and frustrated with that. There was just something about them when they have leads and they can't hang on. So, you know, they had a 2-0 lead going into into the third period. They got a 2-0 lead, and then they were caught scrambling around their own end, which I have mentioned on here a number of times already over the last couple of weeks that it was going to kind of come back to haunt them. And it did. Buffalo scored first goal. Typical, bad turnover behind the net. Two Bruins are back there, and then friggin' Tage Thompson, him and his 6'7" reach, climbs out from behind the net, does a wraparound, and beats Swayman. Then a short time after that, another turnover on their own end, and winds up in the back of the net. I think it was Thompson again. I think he scored 2. And then a few minutes later, what's his name? Hampus Lindholm behind the net breaks his stick, trying to clear the puck from behind the net. Winds its way out in front. They beat Swayman. It's 3-2. The Bruins pull the goalie, and Buffalo gets the empty netter. So now it's 4-2. And the Bruins outplayed them. I don't want to say they outplayed them. They hung on. They had a 2-0 lead. Like I said, they were, in spurts carrying a little bit of the play. And they played good for, the better part of 50, 51 or 52 minutes. But, they got caught running around a lot again, and it really hurt them, that their inability to clear the puck out of their end, and me yelling at my TV, get it out, get it the F out, all night long, just driving me nuts. They're not doing themselves any favors when they're doing that. And, it's really frustrating to watch them. And, it wasn't Swayman's fault. A lot of people want to point to the second goal going under his pad as, him should have had it. He should have had his pad down. Listen, don't turn the puck over in your own end. Don't got to worry about it. I don't really blame him. He played good. If it wasn't for him, it would have been 7-1. I think they just he really stepped up. He was flawless until the floodgates opened late in the game. So for anybody, and I know the Boston sports media around here, they love to poke and jab. And for as much as I'm Negative Ned, I'm not going to be negative here. I'm going to give Swayman his due because he really did keep him in the game. There wasn't really a lot he could do when the guys in front of you keep turning the puck over. It's not conducive to winning, especially now in the playoffs when Everything's on the line. You don't have any wiggle room for error. Your margin for error is slim. Uh, you know, there was definitely some chippiness. There was heavy hitting. I think that Marco Sturm kind of put the bug in Buffalo's ear, saying, "Hey, we're the more physical team." And I think Buffalo tried to prove that no, you're not. So they kind of started running around trying to really nail the Bruins at every turn, and that's not conducive for them either because they're a team that has speed and finesse. Um, Bear with me 1 second. Let's bring Frank in. There he is.
Hey, Steve.
Frank, how's it going?
Going okay. Going okay. So I know you're talking about the Bruins. I know
Yep.
you're diving in deep. Yeah, you're talking about the win or the loss. Knowing
I'm
you,
talking about the loss first because that's the most annoying part to me.
I literally said I literally was about to say that.
Well, we have to start with the first game first, then we'll get to yesterday's game after. But I was just talking about how it got chippy and how Marco Sturm kind of put the bug out there that the Bruins were the more physical team, and Buffalo started trying to run the Bruins into the ground, which is really not their style of play. They're more of a speed team, and I think that kind of hurt them. So that's kind of where I left off.
Okay. So now you want to start talking about the positives, Mr. Negative?
We'll start talking about the positives in game two. Again, same thing. I think Buffalo got caught running around trying to hit the Bruins a lot. They took a lot of stupid penalties. The Bruins had a lot of power plays. They couldn't cash in on them, but they did get, they got the 1-0 lead. Then, Morgan Geekie flipped that puck from center ice and it bounced by the goalie. So they got a good bounce there, lucky bounce. And you need some of them. And for them to jump out 4-0, really encouraging. They really played a much better all around game, in my opinion. So late in the game, they gave up a couple goals, and weird, very very weird for the goalie, Jeremy Swayman, to call for a timeout after the second goal. Smart for him, and I saw his comments earlier where he said, "Hey, look, there was no TV timeout coming after that goal. I just felt like we needed to take a breath and regroup." So good for him, and good for Sturm for listening to him because he didn't have to.
Let me just say this. I don't know if you said this or not, but out of the two games, the Bruins have played well for 5 quarters, 5 out of 6 quarters. They should be up 2-0. You know what I mean? And I'm listening to the radio guys talk about this today and everything else. There's a good chance that they could possibly win this series because of the matchup. So what the guys are saying, they match up, pretty well. So we could talk about the negatives, but the positives is that they're not down 2-0. They're 1-1. It's a 7-game series. They can still regroup and get ahead of themselves as they come back into Boston, and go to the TD Bank North Garden. Now they'll have the fans behind them. They'll have that extra, how you have that extra mojo because you're at home. You know what I mean? They'll have all that behind them. So as they come into Boston, they have some stuff to at least look forward to. Honestly, Steve, they're supposed to be down 2-0 coming into Boston. You know what I mean? Because Buffalo is the favorite. So the positives of this is they split. And because they split, they have home court advantage. You know what I mean? Home ice. They have home ice. So I don't know. I'm looking at I saw some of the stats. I don't understand them the way you do, but I also saw some of the comments. I heard the guys talking about it on sports radio while I'm doing my stuff, and I'm looking at it from the positive side of it. Out of 6 quarters, they played well in 5. The scores doesn't look like that. The game doesn't look like that. But if they can keep it up, they can still win the series. That's what I'm looking at.
I agree with you. Listen, right before the playoffs started, I said this was the best matchup for them because anybody else, they get their doors blown off.
Right.
It is a good matchup for them. Listen, they played 50 to 52 minutes good in the first game, and they had it in their back pocket. They just let it slip away. And, for them to come out the way they did yesterday, they always make me nervous when they go up 3-0 because they can't protect those leads. But, listen, they played well, and I give them full credit. And we want to be positive here. And Jeremy Swayman has definitely carried them and played well in both games. And he has been their best player, and he needs to be if they're going to win these games. And so, he's playing like an $8 million guy, and good for him. Good. Listen, I've dogged him a lot, and Frank, when I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and so good for him. I'm happy. I'm happy that they're playing well. I'm happy that he's playing well. I'm glad he's not crapping himself. And I look forward to the 2 games in Boston because I think they can win them both. And if they can do that, they can win the series, and it'll be easier on them.
And good for them to be able to know that when they went up, that they decided, let's call a timeout and let's regroup. That's huge too, because you don't want to have the same thing happen, because younger guys tend to get into tendencies and they tend to get scared or something like that. No matter how good or how bad it's getting, if something happens and it repeats themselves, they tend to go back into it because these kids these days, even though they're playing on sports teams, if they're between the age of 20 and 25, they just stuff just comes in their head. You know what I mean? They just see all kinds of doom and gloom. Unless you have an older person to sit there and say, listen, let's get together, let's regroup, let's figure out what we're getting ready to do, and let's just buckle down. You know what I mean?
I give Swayman a lot of credit. I've never seen a goalie call a timeout. You know what I mean? The players don't usually call the timeouts. The coach does. That's never happened. What I mean by that is the players. I'm sure somewhere along the line, the leaders, the captain or the assistant captain, might go to the coach or be on the bench and be like, hey, maybe call a timeout here and tell him right there. But to actually have the goalie go like this in a hockey game, I've never seen that. So kudos to him for recognizing the situation and saying, hey, we don't want to have a collapse again. Let's fix this.
Did you panic when you saw him calling a timeout?
No, I thought it was a little weird, but I understood what he was doing. And, I give kudos to Stern for listening to him, because he could have just waved him off and be like, no, I'm not ready to use my timeout yet with 5 minutes left. But
you didn't panic. You didn't panic, Steve. You, Mr. Negative Net.
When they give up the second goal, I'm like, yeah, panicking, because they don't, the 4-goal leads don't last, and they start scrambling around in their own end. So was I panicking after the second goal got scored? Yeah, because now I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Well, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about when he called the timeout. You didn't think there was like an injury or something's going on that you didn't.
No, I kind of figured he was trying to break the momentum for Buffalo and then be like, "Hey, we need to take a breath and regroup here." It was a smart move, because I think if he didn't, they probably would have scored again.
Well, I don't know if they would have scored again. I don't know if they would have scored again, but I think if you're going to call a timeout and you want to be a leader, I love it. Absolutely love it. I love what I've seen. Yeah. Any last words you want to talk about? Because No, we're doing the predictions later, right?
The predictions are later. So no, there's really nothing else. I mean, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. They need to be physical. I will say this about Buffalo, though. They are trying to be more physical. And one of the things that really hurt them yesterday was their best player got a 10-minute misconduct. And so that plays into the Bruins' favor. So if they want to keep running around trying to pace the Bruins into the boards, have at it, because they won't win if they do that.
And they probably will continue to do that, because right now you may not, and this is the last comment I'm gonna make about this. They're panicking coming into Boston. You know what I mean? They're panicking because they can see it, and they know they lost 5 out of 6 quarters. You know what I mean? And they know they're coming into Boston. I bet your Buffalo radio is having a field day right now.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
absolutely. Remember, this is the first time they made the playoffs in like 15 years, so they're definitely panicking.
Yeah, and they're playing nervous hockey right now. And one thing you don't want to do is play nervous. You know what I mean? So, but now we got to talk about. I don't want to talk too long about the Patriots because it's draft. And then we got to talk about the Celtics and then the Red Sox, because the Celtics and Red Sox are playing. But we do want to talk about the New England Patriots because the draft is tomorrow night. But before we even do that, from last week to this week, we knew what Mike Vrabel did, and Mike Vrabel came out and made a statement. Did you happen to watch the statement, Steve? Did you watch it?
I didn't get to watch it. I only got to watch the highlights afterwards. So I have the gist of what he said, and I get it. So,
yeah, but I don't even necessarily talk about what he said. I mean, we all know what he said. We all heard it and everything else. We're not going to bore you guys who are watching the show with what he said in that aspect. What we are going to talk about is what the underlining stuff went into what he said. When he was talking, I watched it after. I watched the whole speech after on YouTube. One thing I noticed, Steve, is he was turning pink pinkish. You know what I mean? Like his skin tone was changing because he was so highly embarrassed. Out of all the stuff I've ever seen Mike Vrabel do, I've never seen him get up on stage and talk about embarrassed. Now, to me, the reason why I want to bring it up, or at least the reason why I want to talk about it, is if you're not guilty, you're not standing there and talking about something like that so embarrassed. But if you're guilty and you're dealing with other stuff, you're gonna show some signs of things of what he showed. Now, like I said in the other sports show beforehand, I didn't think he cheated on his wife. I didn't think he did anything. I think he did do some stuff that's slightly inappropriate. But I think now, after seeing him talk about it, you know what I mean? I think I think he did cheat on his wife because before I didn't think he cheated on his wife, like I said. But now I don't know about you, Steve, but I think he did do something inappropriate. I think along the lines of that, he's cheating on his wife. I think he's dealing with home issues at home with his wife. I think he's embarrassed for himself, embarrassed about, that everybody knows, embarrassed that Diana got to deal with this because, Diana Russini made some statements, Steve, and, over the last year or so about her husband. You could tell she runs that marriage. As a married man, you know what I'm talking about. There are people who run marriages, stuff like that, who are the A person in the marriage. You know what I mean? You can tell she definitely, because she talks bad about her husband. It might not be bad to him, but he's a slep rock in that relationship. But I don't know about Mike Vrabel and in his relationship, but I don't get the thing that he's the A type. You know what I mean? I don't think that he's the dominant guy in that relationship. And I think he's slightly embarrassed. Not even slightly. I think he's very embarrassed. I think he's dealing with issues at home. And then he has to deal with, issues of everybody knowing. I don't know about you, Steve, but that was my take. What was your take on all of this?
Well, my takeaway is that, listen, they tried to cover it up and they didn't produce the evidence. They didn't produce the evidence that the Athletic wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted, but the stuff we talked about last week about, the booking of the trip and all that whole 9 yards. It's just a bad look. And he had to say something before the draft because he can't come in Thursday not saying anything at all and then get peppered with, this issue while they're trying to make their team better. And I agree with you that he's probably embarrassed. And, it's very difficult to admit guilt. Mm-hmm. I mean, he didn't come out and say, hey, I did this. Mm-hmm. But to your point, you could tell that there's something there. And
it's beyond pictures of what we've seen. You know what I mean?
And I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this not too long ago. There are new photos of him and her having breakfast alone at the same resort. So,
yeah, but
I didn't see it. What's that?
I said I didn't see it, but how is it? Are they sitting super close? Are they?
No, they're sitting across from each other at the table, and then there's some mention that when they were walking in and out of the place, one would walk first, and then the other one would lag behind a little bit, almost so that it was made like they weren't trying to be seen together. But people there could tell that they were together, so to speak. So, listen, it's no fun to have to deal with that. You make your bed, you lie in it. That's kind of where he's at. But he had to make the speech just to get it out of the way. And now everybody should be able to focus on football. I know it won't end because the media and social media love to just keep poking and poking and poking. So it's gonna rear its head some more. Hopefully it'll be done by the time training camp starts so we can put it all to bed. But
it won't be. That's the sad part. It won't be.
I know.
Every time something happens, and every time the Patriots, this after a loss or something goes along the lines of some kind of turbulent point in the time, they're gonna always bring us back up, and for at least the next season. You know what I mean? Every single time. So,
the thing is, they're gonna get more pitches or more this or more info or more whatever, and every time it comes around, say it's May, say it's June, something else comes up, then they're gonna have to try and ask him about it, and then he shouldn't have to answer for it anymore. Listen, let the guy go. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody deserves a second chance to move on. It's obvious nothing's going to happen to him. He's not going to get fired or anything.
Right.
But people have to have blood. They have to like beat it to death. It's like, all right, listen, can we focus on football? I agree with you. I think that at some point it becomes overkill and we're not going to want to talk about it anymore.
We're already at overkill. They're going to just bring it up when the Patriots have a loss during the season or something, or something along the lines goes back, and a news reporter has to say something, they're just going to they're going to find a way to bring it back, which is what I absolutely hate about this area, because at least we're not New York, and New Yorkers they'll bring it up between now and the end of next season, but while the season opens up, don't let the Patriots lose the first two games. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
Forget it. I know.
Yeah. They lose the first two games. That's all you're going to hear. You know what I mean? And they're going to say, then speculate on it. But all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Celtics. Let's talk about the Celtics, because
you want to talk about the Celtics. You want to talk about the draft?
Yeah. Let's real quick get it in there about the draft. Let's do that real fast. Who do you think the Patriots are going to draft? We talked about this last week a little bit. We talked about who we think they're going to draft. Then we talked about A.J. Brown, and we talked about a couple of things. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, like you said last week, their biggest need is offensive tackle. My thing is that they should be looking at edge rusher, whoever they can get, because they have to get somebody young. And you know what? Sometimes they do, and I don't know if they'll do it because it's a Belichick thing, but picking way down there, they're like, oh, we're going to pick the guy we feel is the best player on the board. That could be a tight end for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't shock me if they picked a tight end or something like that, because they don't have a young guy behind Hunter Henry. So, and I'm just spitballing here a little bit, but if there's a top 5 of tight ends and there's one or two of those guys left in that group, they might go that route. Mm-hmm. They might select the best player available versus what they actually need. We've seen them do that before.
You know what they also might do, Steve? They also might shock the entire world and make a trade for somebody who we don't see coming, like a Myles Garrett type. You know what I mean? Like, Myles Garrett wants to get out of Cleveland. I know he's too expensive. I know the money doesn't work. But Cleveland's getting ready to make a major shift in what they're doing over there, because they want to compete. They got Deshaun Watson. They've got too much money on the books. In order for them to do something, they got to unload somebody. And I think that Myles Garrett might be the odd man out. And because, Vrabel has a relationship with Cleveland, I think he'd be on the top of the draft board, or the top of the board for them, somebody to talk to, because he knows them all way more personal than a lot of other people do, because he was in the, in their offices every day, you know what I mean, as a consultant. So, and the Patriots, especially lately, they've done a lot of stuff that nobody's talking about. And I also want to say this. For some reason, I woke up this morning when I heard them talk about A.J. Brown. I don't think the Patriots are going to get A.J. It's possible. It's very possible, because it makes sense. But I have this feeling, Steve, that they might not make a trade for A.J. Brown. I just want to throw it out there.
I'm with you. I don't like the diva receivers. They drive me insane. I've been saying it on here for 3 years now.
Yeah.
My preference, I'll put it this way: if I had a choice between Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown, give me Myles Garrett all day, every day. They would have to trade. I forget the guy's name they just signed to replace Chase on.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to include him as part of the trade, because that guy's making $15 million to take some of that off. They would have to really know what they were doing, and it would also signal to me, if they did that you're not going to re-sign Gonzalez, because you can't sign everybody. It's impossible. You're not going to be able to sign him for $40 million or $35 million, and then sign Drake May the next year. Like you and look, I think everybody would rather have Myles Garrett in a heartbeat if that was the case. So. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be, if you want to talk about a shock, like that would be huge. That would be a huge upset shock. Nobody saw coming.
The only way they would do it, and the only way they'd make that trade, is if they got permission from the Cleveland Browns, the NFLPA, and obviously Myles Garrett to rework his contract, so they could take on that, which is very possible, because like we all know, Myles Garrett wants to get out of Cleveland. You know what I mean? He did sign up for that huge money because he knew he could do that, but he also knew going into it is that he could rework his contract if he wanted to get out of there and go to another team that will compete. And I literally have a feeling, I don't know why I have this feeling. I have a feeling that something's going to happen, and they're going to, make some kind of crazy deal with someone like a Myles Garrett type, because the biggest need that they have is pass rush, more than they have for wide receiver. You know what I mean? And everybody's talking about, hey, wide receiver, the Patriots don't really need a wide receiver the way everybody's on it talking about everything. They really don't. Their wide receiver room is great. Then they just made it. They just got that kid from Green Bay. You know what I mean? The staff that we already have is great. But what we don't have if the Patriots added somebody like a Myles Garrett, they would have the #1 defense in the league, which is what they're going to need going into this upcoming season, because they have now the hardest schedule, and they need some kind of presence on the outside to compete. If not, they're not even going to win 10 games. You know what I mean?
And actually, the other guy I just thought of, because they've been mentioning it on sports radio that could be traded, is Christian Barmore, because this is his last year of his contract. So it could be something like that where it's his last year of his contract. He's gone. You trade him. You bring in Myles Garrett. Listen, I like the way you're thinking, Frank. I think that'd be fantastic if that happened. I mean, I don't think there's anybody here in this region that's a Patriots fan that if we got Myles Garrett, they wouldn't be doing cartwheels. I can't physically do a cartwheel, but if I could and they got him, I would definitely be doing.
Yeah, I would too, because now you have Milton Williams in the middle and you have Myles Garrett on the edge. We would literally have the best defense. And they made a signing this offseason for a great corner with Christian Gonzalez. We would have the best defense in the league with just everybody else that we already have, So I don't know. I think the Patriots are really good at letting people talk about one thing while they're really over here doing something else. I really think, especially with the inner workings of the guys that they have now. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't Myles Garrett, but I think it's going to be some kind of mega thing like that. That's what I think. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm willing to put that down as my prediction. I just see them doing that.
I'll put it this way: if I stay up till 11:30 and they trade the freaking pick again, I'm gonna be mad. I'm so sick of that. How many times they do that?
They do that type of stuff to stack on their picks to make a trade for Myles Garrett type, saying, "Hey, we're going to give you this player plus three other picks." People will do that.
Make the trade early enough so that what they were doing with Belichick is they were trading that pick and trading back into the second round. Now it's time for bed. I can't deal with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You stay up all that time for nothing. I hope if they trade that pick, it's valuable, like what you're saying. And it's a blockbuster, and we get the news and get good news before we go to bed. That's what I want.
I tell you, when Belichick was here, I don't think I might have watched the draft twice, because I know Belichick would do that all the time. So I'm like, he wasting my time. I don't want to see it.
That is the exact thing that happened to me. That happened to me twice early in the series of years. Right, I stayed up and I was like, oh, he's just going to keep trading him. And then later on, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, after Brady left, I stayed awake once. I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I might do it tomorrow though, because I'm interested in the new regime with how they move.
I have to exactly. Listen, if they're still there at 31, I'm still going to be up, because you have to. I want to see what they're going to do. I don't. I just don't want them to trade it, because I'll be pissed.
Yeah,
I'll be the one sending you the angry emojis this time.
Well, I'm gonna be watching NBA playoffs, and I'll turn back when they get to 30. You know what I mean? I'll be going back and forth. All right, let's talk about this.
It's going to be the Bruins for me. So I'll be knowing the Patriots don't do anything till later on. I might get the whole Bruins game in before they pick.
Yeah, you might. All right, let's talk about the Celtics real fast. Let's get that in there, because it's 8:31. So the Celtics played really great basketball in game one, as we expected. But they played really horrible basketball in game two. Now, Steve, I didn't say it today on the box seats, because I didn't feel like going back and forth with those knuckleheads. But the Celtics do this all the time. Every year since they got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, their first playoff series, they always split them like this. I can't remember. It might have did it once, but I know for a fact they didn't do the opening round of the playoffs where they didn't just say, okay, we're going to give them 2-0. You know what I mean? They always get 1-1 or maybe even down 0-2. They get this, and then they get this pressure they put on themselves, and when they play much better with pressure. One thing about the Celtics, that when they have pressure to win on them, they play great basketball. But when, when they get in the corner, or they get puts themselves in the corner, the only time that they got pushed in the corner and they really lost and they were disappointing is when they in the NBA Finals against Golden State, where they ultimately end up losing, but they were up 3-2. You know what I mean? I don't know if you remember that. Actually, they were up. Yeah, they were up 3-2. No, they were up 2-1. Yeah, I just remember they were up 3-2 and they lost. Then they did it last year, obviously with the Knicks, and then they did it one time with Miami. You know what I mean? So with that game 7, when it was coming back to Boston, and they should have won. But, Jason Tatum really gets hurt in game 7, and he's not the same player because Tatum's hurt, But other than that, out of all the times they get down in series, they really find a way to win. But I also want to say this. And I said it to my friend Kareem 2 days ago. This is the best Celtics team I've seen in years. Like, from top to bottom, from man 1 to man 15, this is the best Celtics team I've seen in years. And I hope Missoula plays more guys and goes more in depth than 8 guys, than an 8-guy rotation. I hope he does that.
Excuse me 1 second. Give me that.
Yeah, because he needs to do that. You know what I mean? Joe Missoula needs to. He has the bench now, and that's what really got me angry last year, because his bench was deep last year, even though guys were hurt. But this year, his bench is even deeper, and these guys are actually playing great basketball. You know what I mean? So I hope he does that. I hope he goes at least 10 guys deep, 11 guys deep, and not just wait for garbage time or something like that. When they're needed during the games, because these guys are playing. But what's your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that one of the issues that I have is they keep relying on the threes when the guys are cold, right? And so to your point, if you can get, maybe Shireman can get hot, maybe Vucevic needs a few more minutes and he can get hot and take some of the heat off the regulars. I mean, I agree with you that they're very, very deep. They're one of the deepest teams in the league. And, their roster is probably deeper than the year they won the championship a couple of years ago.
It is.
And they do have a habit of, and especially at home in the playoffs, even when they won the championship, their home, well, that year their home record was good, but the other years, the home record is just frustrating. They're better on the road than they are at home. That drives me insane, but their roster is deeper, and he should find a way when guys are cold. Don't do that. Don't just keep letting them chuck it up. I mean, 53s, make it 13. It's terrible. I found something here earlier that says since going down 0-3 to the Heat in 2023, the Celtics are 7-1 off a playoff loss. The 7 wins are by an average of 20 points. So listen, that bodes well for them for tomorrow. Like you said, they have a habit of putting the pressure on themselves and bouncing back. So I'm expecting a bounce back game tomorrow. And we touched on this earlier in the year, Joe Mazzulla did a better job earlier in the year of adjusting when the threes weren't going down. They were driving to the basket more. They were getting more free throws. They were getting more, 15 to 18-foot jump shots and settling for 2. He needs to go back to that. When you don't adjust and you have more 3s than 2s for shots, you have 50 threes and like 42 regular 2 shots. It's not good. This is like, let me cross sports again. This is like having the quarterback throw 50 times and running the ball 10. Like, it doesn't bode well for the Celtics when they do that, because when they don't go in, it sucks. Yeah, it's very frustrating.
So you talked about 3 different topics, same team.
Oh, sorry.
you went to 3 different things. Let's go back to the Celtics with the players playing. With the Celtics players playing, if they put in Hugo Gonzalez, they find a way to get and they find a way to get Jordan Walsh in the game. Now they're having a much better game because these guys are better defenders. They're not necessarily better shooters, but they're better defenders, and it helps them on the offensive end. Then you went to obviously shooting the threes. It's a whole nother conversation because Joe Mazzulla has done that about 15, 18 times this season. Drives me nuts. But he's much better in this season when he sits there and says, you know what, let's drive to the basket more. Let's drive to the basket more. But a lot of that too might be Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown is taking over the basketball and taking over the game where he's driving to the basket. And the plays might not necessarily even be called for him when he does that. So I think when they go to Philly, I think we're going to see a much better, much different team. I think we're going to see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum attack the basket. But I also do think that they're going to test out their shooting, like to see if they're getting hot. But we got to say one thing about Baylor Shireman is in the last 2 months, this kid is unbelievable. And I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the season, he was the first guy I was like, why the hell are they playing this kid?
I said the same thing, Frank. In the preseason, he was awful. He was like 2 for 13. He was getting a lot of looks. He was getting a lot of run. He was shooting terrible. I'm with you. And on your show, when we talked about the most improved guys, I would say, to your point, in the last 2-3 months, he's the most improved Celtic. Besides Keita, besides Neemias Queta.
Yeah, besides Keita, definitely.
He's definitely the most improved.
He might be most overall if you're doing it by points. If you're doing it by point per differential, it's different, But if you're saying by points overall and impacting the game, then it's definitely Baylor Shireman. But I'm not gonna lie, this kid is phenomenal. Like, when it comes his turn to get a contract, he's gonna get a huge contract because he's a really great shooter. I mean,
so
I'm surprised.
yeah, so the drafting of him to take over for Sam Hauser that we all speculated on around here,
Yeah,
didn't look good earlier this year. I was
yeah.
like, oh man, they wasted this pick. It's a good thing Sam Hauser's still here. But now, if he can continue on his way, then Sam Hauser could be expendable, and it wouldn't be as big of a loss.
Sam Hauser.
I'm not saying they should trade him. I'm just saying that if they
No.
want to, that they have an option now, and that option
Sam Hauser in this upcoming season is going to leave. Let's just get all you.
Well, he signed a 4-year extension.
I know that, but let's just get ready for what's going to happen. Sam Hauser is not going to be a Celtic this time next year because or going into September, because the Celtics are still going to make a trade. The Celtics are going to still make some kind of play for some whatever need that they think that they need. Even though to me, they have the most complete team than they've ever. Again, I said it before. They have the best team I've seen in years. To me, they're set at the center position. They're set at the forward position, and they're set at the guard position. But if you want to get one or two more guards, it wouldn't hurt. That's probably the only position that they need. And that kid who was here earlier on in the season who got traded, now his name escapes
Simons.
Me. Yeah,
Anthony Simons.
Anthony Simons. There's a great chance he comes back because he's going to be a free agent, and he wants to come back to the Celtics, and he's willing to take less money. If he does, then the Celtics are even better because he's a excellent shooter. But if they get him and then they lose Hauser, then you're sitting there saying, okay, your team is basically the same. But if they don't trade Hauser and they get Simons, now what do you have? You know what I mean? But you got to realize
then you have to find playing time for 3 guys instead of 2.
Right. That's what's going to. You got that. There's that, and then of course, is another great thing that we can't overlook. Also, is that not only playing time, you got. Oh my God, what's the kid's name? Who's guard? Who's oh my God. The kid with the braids who came in last night with he's the son of the Chicago Bulls legend.
Ron Harper Jr.
Ron Harper Jr. is a very
good
player. He's a very
good
player. Yeah. So what are you gonna do with him? You're gonna stifle him for another year? So they've got some great things they got to figure out what they're gonna do with. You know what I mean? It's a great position to have. I'd rather have too many players than not enough. You know what I mean? I'd rather.
I'm with you. Listen, I give Brad Stevens a ton of credit. He's done a real good job. He's done phenomenal.
Him and the whole coaching staff, those guys are with developing players. Those guys are phenomenal in season and before the season. Like, that's one thing I can't say about, I got to give Joe Mazzulla his credit. Like, you guys are really doing a great job when it comes to developing players. Because Cater this time last year was a bum. You know what I mean? Like, we were sitting there like, oh my God, the time this guy came in, he's gonna give us some fouls, he's gonna give us some minutes too. But overall, the entire center position, all those guys are playing pretty good basketball.
And don't forget, they drafted that kid Williams. I think his number is 77, the big tall kid, right?
Yeah.
He's another guy that could develop.
He will. He's already getting better now. So, yeah.
So listen, if Vukovic leaves obviously at the end of the year, and if he can step up, then you don't have to worry about getting a veteran guy. You got 3 guys still, and he's a young player with talent. So, listen, there's a lot of options there. I like the way that they're built, and also we have to also factor in that some of the assistants might leave again to be head coaches. Like what's the guy that left last year? His name Lee or something?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, him. So we have to watch out for that too. That
gonna happen. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Makes an impact.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Red Sox because the Red Sox are pissing me the hell off.
Oh my God. They are so annoying, Frank. It's not even funny.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. The only way we're going to make, the Red Sox management realize that we as fans we have to do something because the Red Sox are not even playing their potential. You know what I mean? They're not even playing up to their potential. And what people are going to do is they're going to blame Alex Cora. They're going to blame Alex Cora. They're not going to say, hey, all these players that the Red Sox got are repaired bums. They're not going to say that. Now I just saw the news flash today. Somebody got put on a 15-day disabled list again. I'm like, oh my God.
Sonny Gray.
Yeah,
He pulled his hamstring the other night.
I'm just
It
Steve
never ends. It never ends.
with the Red
There's
Sox.
always somebody hurt. It's going
Yeah.
to happen again. Somebody else is going to get hurt. They have a multitude of issues though. They can't pitch. They get like one good start and then no good starts. Then they get one good start and they get no good starts. They can't hit for anything. I was watching the game earlier before we came on, and I saw this. There's a thing called in zone swing percentage,
Mm-hmm.
which basically is not swinging at the right pitches in the strike zone. This is courtesy of the color commentator there, Lou Maloney.
Mm-hmm.
And he said their swing decisions are terrible. And so this stat has the bottom 5 teams that have the worst in-zone swing percentage. The Cubs are the worst, believe it or not, 61.5%. The Red Sox are second at 61.8%, and the Yankees are third, and they're in first place. Go figure. But this just tells me, and I've said this on here a number of times, I'm going to keep saying it, these guys don't know the strike zone because they're not being taught to swing at good pitches. They're being taught that launch angle nonsense, and it's really making them look bad. And everybody does it, not just the Red Sox. I watched the game last night. These guys are throwing the ball in the dirt. The ball bounces before the plate, and the guy's still swinging. I'm like, bring your 9-iron because you're not going to hit it. They all doing it. Their eye. There are no more Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, guys that would hit 360 and get 200 hits in a year. These guys can't bat 200. It's terrible. The Red Sox got friggin' 4 hits last night. 4. And they got shut out. They look like a AAA team. They look like AAA guys. That's what they look like.
I don't know what's going on right now, but I mean, I know they're losing right now 4-0. I don't know what it looks like tonight, because I'm obviously not watching the game. But we're doing this right now because we're on it live.
Well, I did. Rangers Suarez gave up a 3-run homer.
Oh wow!
So that didn't help.
Well, here's the situation. How do you fix the Red Sox? You know what I mean? How do you fix the Red Sox? Because I promise you this: when Alex Cora gets fired, because that's the train that looks like it's going down. When he gets fired, he's going to go to a team that needs a great manager that has to play, and he's going to win a World Series with somebody else. He's just going to, because he's an excellent manager. I don't think he's the problem at all. And you know what I fear? I fear he'll go to the Yankees or Toronto Blue Jays. You know what I mean? And because Toronto Blue Jays definitely need a better manager, even though they got to the World Series. I think they lost the World Series by their manager last year. But I think he'll go to the Yankees, because if the Yankees don't win the World Series this year, I don't know how they keep Aaron Boone. I don't
either.
I don't know how they do it, especially if Alex Cora is sitting out there. I think the Yankees make a run at him and say, listen, you forget about the Red Sox. You come in here and we'll hire you and we'll double your salary or something ridiculous. And what is he going to say? No. With that lineup, you can't tell me Alex Cora doesn't win a World Series with that lineup. You know what I mean? He's gonna.
He's got good pitching too. He's got all the pieces are there. Listen, we've talked about this ad nauseum now. It's the stupid nerd idiot analytic GMs they keep bringing in here. And the reason they're doing that is because John Henry doesn't want to spend money. He wants to go cheap. So you want to run the team like you're the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and the Pittsburgh Pirates and all these other, small market teams, then this is what you're going to get. And like I said last week, if I didn't say it already, one of the things that they're not doing is they're not developing the guys defensively down in the minors. They're all focused on the launch angle, analytics, nonsense, blah, blah. Then they get here and they expect Alex Cora to fix these guys and teach them how to play defense. That's not how minor leagues works. Minor leagues is supposed to be the developmental. Okay, work on your game, work on your defense, work on this, work on that. You get to the big leagues, you're ready to go. Your defense is good. Like Alex Cora doesn't have time to fix all that nonsense. It's not his fault. And so you're asking me how to fix the Red Sox until John Henry changes his mindset and gets a real GM and gets rid of these analytic nonsense. It's never going to change. And you're going to see Alex Cora go to a good team, like you said, and he's going to win a World Series. And that's unfortunate. And so I see one of two things happening with him. Either they're going to fire him if it continues this way, or he's going to quit. He's going to resign because I don't think he can last all the way through the end of May when they're playing like this and they can't win games. And if I was him, I mean, it's easy to say, resign. because he's making $7 million a year. So you're going to leave all that money on the table. You have to be in a good position financially, and be able to know that, okay, I'm going to resign and get rid of this, and I don't, the money's not worth it anymore, right? And he'll get scooped up in half a second. So I don't want to see that. Neither one of us do, right? And I'm so frustrated with this, and I could do a 20-minute rant on it. I could, but I'm not gonna. But the easiest way to fix the Red Sox is we need a real GM, Frank. Listen, let me just one more thing real quick before we move on. Craig Breslow was the 11th candidate because the other 10 turned him down, right? Because the other people that came in looked at it and said, this is what you guys want to do? This is how you want to run this organization? This is the money I have to work with? I'm not doing that. So they're at the bottom of the barrel for talent in the GM position. Now, I know Alex Cora is talking about moving upstairs. Maybe he doesn't want to manage anymore. He wants to be a GM or whatever. But if you want to fix the Red Sox quickly and keep Alex Cora, fire Breslow and put Alex Cora upstairs and have him work with Theo and fix it and have Jason Varitek be the manager. I mean, if you want a quick fix by the end of this month, that I would fire Breslow and put Alex Cora upstairs.
Yeah, I forgot. The catcher I forgot he's still there. I forgot.
He can manage for the rest of the year if Alex Cora is upstairs, and even if they're in last place, you already realize that. Listen, they have to trade for a bat too. They got these promises about we're going to go for a bat, blah blah. They got nobody. They're hitting singles and bunts. They're barely getting doubles. They're not getting home runs. I mean, they just can't hit. It's awful. They have to trade for a bat. I mean, if you really want to fix it quick and keep Alex Cora, you got to trade for a bat. And now everybody that they could have had is gone. So I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
I don't either. But until the owner leaves, that's where we're at.
He's not leaving because you know what? That portfolio makes a boatload of dough, and he's just going to keep making. What we said this before. He's like the dude on The Simpsons. He's Mr. Burns, counting all the dough, right? And Breslow's Smithers. That's what they got going on over there.
I believe it. How much do you think the Red Sox are worth?
Oh, they're worth billions, Frank. They're worth over $4 billion, like $4.5 billion, $5 billion. They're worth billions.
Yeah, I believe it.
And they're 12th in payroll. Their payroll is 12th at like $196 million or whatever.
And it got lower the last couple of years. Did you notice that?
Well, I have to pull up I actually pulled it up and did a spreadsheet on it that says what they actually have, what they owe, because they owe from guys they got rid of and guys that are hurt, blah, blah. I want to say they're in the $240 or $50 million range total for everything. But for this year, their payroll right now is like two something, low twos.
Yeah. Versus the Dodgers are up. What's their payroll?
Over $300 million. They were close to $400 million last year.
I'm about to say
no, they were second. I think the Mets were $400 million last year.
Yeah. Yeah, because then again, you don't want to just throw money at it because the Mets are throwing money all play, and the Mets suck. They're on a 14-game losing streak. You know what I mean?
Right, and the Yankees were doing that for a while too, and they're pulling back a little bit. Their payroll was over $300 million. They've dialed it back, and they can still win.
Yeah, they still could. All right, let's talk. Let's move on to the next thing. The next thing we're talking about is what, Steve? How we want to do? You want to do the polls?
We need to do the poll questions. We only had one. Let me find it. Bear with me here.
I'm gonna have to start helping you on the polls. At least giving you some ideas for some questions. I'm gonna have to start doing it. Like poll question number one. Do polls for each team. You know what I mean? Like maybe the poll question for the Bruins is, how do you think the Bruins feel coming into Boston? Do you think they're gonna feel pressure, no pressure, or no? Just leave it at those two. If they're gonna feel a lot of pressure coming into Boston, or no pressure coming into Boston. And then the poll question for Mike Vrabel would be, for the New England Patriots would be, do you think people will leave this alone now? But after Mike Vrabel spoke about Diana Russini, yes or no? And then move on with that. And then the next one would be with the Celtics. Maybe how do you think the Celtics will handle this series? They're going to win, lose, leave it at that. Let's let win or lose this series moving forward. And who else would I get? Oh, the Bruins. No, I did
Red Sox. I did the Bruins. Red Sox.
Do you think the Red Sox will get better as the season goes on? Yes or no. You know what I mean? And leave it at that. Those type of things. Because what's going to happen is now we're going to get more interaction because you're doing more polls, but you're splitting it up for all the 14. You know what I mean? So that's what we should do.
All right, so I'll be looking to you for a little bit of guidance. Let me read this comment that came in from Brian McWhinney. He's part of our group. He went to Tech.
Oh yeah,
he says that the Red Sox are worth much more now that San Diego sold for $3.9 billion.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
So they're definitely worth over $5 billion. Then if they're worth 3.9, I mean that's insane.
Okay,
so thank you for that, Brian. With the draft this Thursday night, what do you want the Patriots to prioritize with their first round selection, number 31 overall? Edge rusher got 100%. Edge rusher got 75%. I'm sorry. Linebacker got 25%. Wide receiver got 0, and tight end got 0. Okay. So most people want edge rusher like we do.
You should have put quarterback in there too, just for a laugh. What idiot's gonna pick up? What idiot's gonna pick a QB? Like, hey, quarterback. Another quarterback.
Well, what happens is if the question is too long and there's too many options, then when you look at it on Facebook, it doesn't have all the options and it's too big. You don't get to see everything. But we could have left off linebacker or whatever. We could have left one of them off.
But I will say the Patriots do need to get a backup QB. They do need to get one. So
yeah, right now it's Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, and he's not the greatest. He's only the greatest when he's playing against the Patriots, not for the Patriots. But that's another question. All right, so let's move on to the predictions. This is the part
predictions. So we have last week's predictions. Do you want yours first or mine?
It doesn't matter. I'll let you pick.
All right, so I said the Bruins will split the first 2 games in Buffalo, and you did too. So 2 dings. We were both right.
Yep, coming in Boston. Yay!
Let's see. I said that I would stick with Caleb Durbin getting a home run. Wrong. That bastard can't get. He can't hit. I said the Celtics would win both games. Wrong. No good. I said all the Red Sox starters would have good starts this week. Wrong. Only Suarez. He's the only one that had a good start. He had 1 start. We had 8 innings pitched and gave up no runs. All the other guys crapped out. So my predictions pretty much sucked as usual. Yours were the Celtics would sweep the Sixers. Wrong, because that's not going to happen now.
Yeah.
You said the Red Sox would win 3 out of 4. Wrong, because they split.
Yeah.
They split with Detroit and they lost to the Yankees yesterday. You said the Bruins split in Buffalo. We have that. Oh, and you said the Patriots there would be a surprise between now and the draft, or on draft day that they might trade down. So that's going to hold.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have this week's predictions. Mine are here somewhere. Hold on. Okay, I have them here. I say the Bruins will win the next 2 games. That's not a surprise, really, because we already talked about that. I say the Celtics win the next 2 games, too. For some reason, they play better on the road, and Philly's just not that good. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Red Sox are going to get swept by the Yankees, and then they're going to win only 2 of their next 6 games after that, because after that they have to go to Baltimore and Toronto. So they're going to win 2 out of the next 10 games, 9 games or something like that. They're going to get smoked. And I say the Patriots trade up in the first round to get. I think they listen. You want outlandish or whatever think we don't see coming. I think they could surprise us by moving up to 20 or something like that for somebody they really like. Let's see if they, maybe there's an edge rusher up there they like.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't see them doing that.
All right.
Okay, so my prediction. That's it. My prediction is the Patriots are going to do something tomorrow that we don't see coming along the lines with the draft, and I could see them, trading down. So I'll lean on that. I could see them trading down to get more picks. So there's that for the Patriots. I think the Red Sox might go 0-10. You know what I mean? I'm serious, because the guys are getting hurt. Guys are already starting to look for ways out. People are already arguing and bickering. You know what I mean? Like this, they literally might lose the next 10 games. So unless something happens where they start pulling victories out of the hat and they start coming together, but I don't see how they're going to come together, because they lost to the Yankees yesterday. They're losing now, and it takes a pivotal win against a good team for you to turn it around. if they lose this next game, which they're about to lose, then that could be the slide to get them slide, in the whole wrong direction too. You know what I mean? So, I don't know how many games they play between now and next time we're on the air, but I don't think they're going to win another one of those. I don't think.
It's basically tonight, tomorrow night, and then 6 more. So you're looking at 8 games.
Okay, then I think they're going to go 0-8.
0-8. I said 2-6.
I think they're going to go 0-8 or 1-7. You know what I mean? I think it might win one game.
It's gonna be bad either way, Frank. I mean, I'd be surprised if they came back 5-4. If they had 5 wins out of these next games, I'd be in shock. I really would.
And I think the Bruins are going to split in Boston. I think the Bruins are going to win one, they're going to lose one, and everybody's going to panic. But you know what's going to happen is the series is going 7. So I did the Bruins. I did the Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to definitely win the next 2 games because they're going to be angry. They're going to go to Philly and beat them. And I think the very next game they're going to beat the brakes off the Sixers in Philly. You know what I mean? Because there was a one key moment in the game when Tyrese Maxey was showing off at the end of the game when he was flexing and he did some kind of hand gesture and everything else to the team and the bench. I think they're going to talk about that. I think they're going to show it, and they're going to come out in Philly and beat the brakes off those. If they don't do that, I'll be surprised. And that's it for my predictions.
Okay. I don't have any more predictions because I'm having too much trouble getting any of them right. So I'm finished.
Well, that's the fun of it. You'd be surprised when you get them right, and you're great when you get them wrong. You're like, hey, what the hell? So, all right. So we can roll up out of here, right, Steve? Anything else you want to say before we leave?
Nope. I think that's it. Just
All right.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you guys. We'll see you guys, right, Steve? We'll see them because I want to see the Pistons are losing, so I want to go see if I could.
The Pistons are losing. That's good news. That's sweet. That's gonna be hilarious. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.